Hello, Stampers. Welcome to Laura's Stamp Pad. I am Laura Burkett, and I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And this is my November online card class. This is where I will be creating 5 cards using the Frosted Forest stamp set and the masks. So there's actually 3 masks for each of the trees. And when I say each, I mean these 3 trees. So there's 3 masks for this one. One is the trunk and all the branches. And then one of them is, or actually then the other 2 are the like leaves and foliage on that. And then with these 2, there are 3 different ones that do a variation of, so here I'll show you. There's the trunk and branches, and then these 2 fill in. And then the other 3, and they're actually, they say A, B, and C. So we're going to do A, B, and C. And also that little notch there is to help you see that you're on the right side. So like that notch is going to be like this. You don't want to do your other one like this with the notch on this side, or that's why you'll notice it won't really line up and you'll be wondering what you're doing wrong, which we'll go through that as I use these for this class. So this one, and honestly, I actually prefer A and B, and I don't really care for C that much. I almost feel like A and B looks good and C kind of like takes it a little too far. And I'll show you a sample of that, and then you can decide which one you prefer. There's also an amazing set of dies. So you'll see that this does the big tree. But then if you wish to just use the die cuts, then there's this nice detail that you can do with your tree and overlap them like that. And then there's one for the small one too, an outline, so you can stamp and mask and do just an outline, or you can do just die cuts with those 2. There is also a foliage one for the big one, the branches, and then there's, you can stamp and die cut with this one. There are 2 of the little birdies, which makes die cutting out those birdies really easy because you can do 2 with each crank through. And then there's also this one here that's like 3 little trees, and then, you know, some hills or some snow or however you wish to use that, which we will be using in one of the cards as well. So let's go ahead and get started. And I am going to start with this card here. So this one is a beautiful Christmas card, or I mean, technically it could be even a winter card. Most wonderful time of year. What do you think is the most wonderful time of the year? And I'm showing it up close and trying to wiggle it a little bit so you can see that texture of snow down there, and it's got Wink of Stella all over it. So it really looks nice and snowy. And so I did actually put Merry Christmas on the inside. So this card packet is using Garden Green and Old Olive. This entire class is going to be a lot of green. You will see green like on every single card, I think. Oh, wait, there's actually, no, I do use green on that one too. So yes, all the cards will be using a variation of green. So there I folded our card base, and I can go ahead and add on this layer of Old Olive. Whoop, I think I just ran out of adhesive. Let me grab another one. And then now we have both a big white and a little white. So the big white is actually going to go on the inside. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp our Merry Christmas in Garden Green in the center. These greetings are actually from the Greetings of the Season stamp set. I love, love, love this stamp set because the greetings, I have a scrolly font, which you guys all know how much I love a scrolly font, but it also has a lot of great greetings for the holidays to just kind of pull in and use whenever you have a great image stamp set and you need a greeting to go with it. So we are going to, I almost put it on the card that I already completed. So here is our Merry Christmas for the inside. And then now I'm going to stamp, oh, I don't need the Merry Christmas anymore. I need, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And I'm going to stamp this off to the side. And then I'm also going to stamp the large tree. So the large tree is going to be stamped in garden green. And I'm going to stamp it closer to the top of the card than the bottom because our snow is going to cover, you know, that it's not going to look like a floating tree. So stamp that down. Like I said, I stamped it in the garden green. And then now we're going to take those masks. And like I said, I like to use A and B. I'm going to show you what it's like with C, and you can determine on whether you like C as well or not. One of the tricks about using masks that I like to use are Post-it notes. So I'm actually going to secure my piece of cardstock down with a Post-it just so it's not moving on me. And then we'll line this up with our tree and use a blending brush. And I have a blending brush. This is the large one. There is a small one too. I honestly can't say I have a preference. Like, I have a pack of the small and a pack of the big. I love them both. And I don't really find like that I like one over the other. So I'm just going to like tap it into the ink pad a little bit and then brush it on. And you can brush it on as light or dark as you want. You guys know I'm a dark person. Like, I tend to break, you know, as a kid, I broke all the crayons because I pressed really dark. But on this one, I kind of tried to stop before I normally would. So I'm like, Laura, don't go any farther. You're good. You did enough. And stop. So you could do that, or you could just keep on going and go lighter. And then now we're going to take this second mask and line this one up here. And I'm actually going to use this same blending brush, and I'm just going to go straight into the Old Olive. And so here we have our Old Olive, and I'm going to brush in there. Now, I do kind of try to like push into some of them because you'll notice like the bristles don't get like into the grooves, and you'll notice some white, but you can, you know, kind of do a little or a lot depending on how much you wish. So this is A and B. And now I'm going to show you one that I did A, B, and C. And I used Mossy Meadow for C. And I just kind of feel like it's too dark, or it's too messy, or it's too something that I really like. I prefer to just stop at A and B. And yes, you kind of have like a little funky gap here, which you could always like line your tree up to kind of fill in some holes if you wish. But also there's like no perfect tree out there. So I think it looks just fine. So I'm going to stop there. And then now I'm just going to take a little scrap piece of white, and I'm going to color the strip with Wink of Stella. And I actually, in my sample, I did the Wink of Stella at the end because I was like, ooh, you know what this needs? Wink of Stella. But then I found sometimes your Wink of Stella can kind of do like a splotch that you don't like. So I have found like that. I feel like that's very silvery. Maybe I need a different Wink of Stella. That one seems very gushy. And I don't want to mess up my card because of my Wink of Stella. Now I feel like this one's like not enough. And I have a very, very popular video on YouTube that's called How to Extend the Life of Your Wink of Stella. and I will link that below. And the thing is after your Wink of Stella is empty, there's still so much glitter left in this barrel. So you simply unscrew the end, pop off that black tab, and pull it out, and like there'll be glitter all over it. Refill it with some rubbing alcohol, like 70%. Don't go up to 91 because it'll start to eat the plastic. But like 70% alcohol or less. And refill it. Don't fill it all the way to the top because that piece has to go back down in it and it'll overflow. Ask me how I know. And you can refill it like 3 or 4 times. And it definitely extends the life of your Wink of Stella. Okay. So, oh, I don't feel like you can see the glitter, but it's super there. And then I'm just going to rip this. No rhyme or reason. No, like, technique or anything like that. I think I've probably gone far enough. And then I'm just going to add a strip of adhesive here at the bottom. Secure this down. And then I'm going to trim off the ends using the edge of the cardstock as my guide. And there I have that beautiful look that we will then add to our card front. Super gorgeous, super fabulous. And then we can always add a tree to our envelope. So beautiful. Love that. And that is card number 1 of our Frosted Forest November 2024 card class. So let's get ready for card number 2. Okay, so card number 2 is this one. You can see we use a lot of those die cut images. First, there is the set of 3 die cut trees with that bottom ground piece. And then of course we use that big tree with the die cut piece over the top there. And I'm going to give you a tip on how to do that. So I actually used our adhesive sheets, and I took a piece of the adhesive sheet, peeled off the back, and put it on a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock. So now it is a sticker. And then I die cut it with this image here. And so we'll pop that die off, pop this out. And it's going to pop out die cut with that sticker. And the other bonus to that sticker is going to pull out the majority, or here I'm hoping it does, the majority of those center little bubbles. But before I do that, we're going to get our card ready so that I'm ready to stick it down and I don't have this sticker that I don't know what to do with. So let's go ahead and start with our Mossy Meadow card base. And then we have our pecan pie, 4 by 5 1/4. And I die cut out the 3 trees, which you'll see the die actually allows the paper to keep going on both ends. And so then you have, like, because it just kind of like continues. It only cuts along the top and it doesn't cut on the ends or on the bottom. So you can actually make your hill or your snow or whatever you want this to be like really deep. You know, you could have it up here and it could be an entire piece of cardstock that goes down like that. You know, like if you wished to, you know, put the die up really high, then it would actually allow all of that at the bottom. We also need this so that we can die cut out our single tree as well. Gonna bring in my mini, which I love using because it makes it so much easier to bring in onto my workspace. I don't have to clear as much room as I do whenever I bring in the big boss. And die cut that out. And now we have this tree. So one of the biggest tips that I have for this one, I'm just gonna use my Take Your Pick tool to pop that out. The regular Take Your Pick tool does have an amazing poker end, but this is actually the Crafter's Toolkit, and it has this dental pick, which is amazing for poking things out of dies. And so many other things too. Okay. So we have this. I actually did not use a ton of adhesive on this card. So I am actually just going to add, and you know, I don't even think my adhesive is going to fit. So I'm going to get some mini glue dots. And I'm just going to add some mini glue dots down here to the bottom of our die cut trees. Because I'm gonna allow the trees to 3Dify a little bit. And I also, oh, this is another amazing tip. It peels off those paper backs. So easy. Like, look at how fast that's going. So whether you have nails, don't have nails, don't have good dexterity with your fingertips perhaps, then this tool has your back for peeling the paper off the back. Same with the fine tip glue pen. Okay, so we're gonna also smash this tree down at the bottom along the end. I kind of wanted this to be farther over, but realized that it can't be too far over or otherwise my leaves can't go on the tree, or they're gonna super fall off the tree. So you need to make sure that the placement of this tree is good, that your leaves aren't going to fall off. So I'm gonna leave it there. And then, and here I'm not paying attention to my other trees. Making sure that those aren't falling off either. And they can fall off just a smidge because our card base is still there. So it'll just bleed onto that Mossy Meadow card base. And I actually didn't need that last mini glue dot. Okay, so now we have our trees, and now we're going to peel the back sticker off of this, and hopefully a lot of those circles come out. And they did. Hallelujah. And honestly, I think I'm going to leave the leftovers in there. So you can see there's just a few of them. And I'm just going to leave them in as added texture on our tree. So I'm just going to stick this down, like I said, just like a sticker. I did poke them out for the original sample. And I did use this, but it was super annoying. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be here forever because I had to pick out like one whole like branch. And again, you can let me know which one you prefer. So this one, I poked all of them out. And this one, I left some of them in. Does it bother you that some are left in? Or do you like the added texture where it's like super green right there, as if there's like more leaves in that area or something. You can decide. And now we're just going to add this to the front of our card base. And then I have a piece of basic white for the inside, and I actually didn't stamp anything on the inside. I thought about die cutting another tree, so that's another option that you could use for the inside, or you could leave it blank if you have a lot to write. I tend to write a lot. I also have really big handwriting, so I'll not deny that I don't necessarily write a lot, but my handwriting is big. So now I'm just cutting up straight in the center and then from the corner to that center cut. And that's how you get nice even banner tips. And then we're going to stamp thinking of you and how you strengthen my life. Love that. Love, love, love that. And there's our greeting. And then I'm going to get a little bit of twine. And we're just going to wrap this around the end as many times as you wish. I don't know. I might have done too many. We'll see if I can tie it. I might have to unravel one of the twists. I might be able to get it. Maybe. There we go, and trim off our tails. That's what I always call them, at least. And then I'm going to add the greeting with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And you can always trim off. I think I'm going to trim off a little bit of white. I don't need that much extra on the end. And then add... I like to add one dimensional like over all of those like knots to make sure that they don't slide off the end. And then otherwise it's all good. So there, like I have it. And we'll add this to the front on the top. And then again, I kind of don't have anything for the inside unless we could always do this tree, or we could also do the little bird. And I can do the bird in the mossy meadow. I could also do it on the inside here. Just a little bird. Honestly, and I'm going to like kind of put one like soaring up. Not like, I mean, depending on the size of my stamp, it might be too big, but otherwise that might be perfect. Honestly, I don't know whether the bird's eye is like low or high, because like it could kind of go either way, I feel like. But this is card number 2 in my Frosted Forest card class, and card number 1. And then we'll get started on card number 3. So now we are on to card number 3. Again, this was the card that I thought didn't have any green on it, but it actually does with some leaves there on the bottom. Super fall looking. Love the bright colors of the pumpkin pie and Cajun craze. So we're going to start with a card base of basic white, thick basic white cardstock. And we're going to fold that in half. And then we have our Cajun craze and then another small piece of basic white. So I'm just going to set those aside as we focus on this small piece. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our big tree in pecan pie. So we're going to do the full tree and outline in pecan pie. And you want to go close to the bottom, but not completely. It doesn't have to be fully on the bottom because we're going to go ahead and do those leaves so you won't have to worry about a floating tree. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to stamp a few of those birds all around. I felt like after I stamped the two, I felt like I needed a third one. So I stamped that third one kind of in the corner. So we're going to stamp this one like kind of going down. And this one kind of going over. And then I don't know. Do I feel like I need... No, actually, I don't really feel like I need one. But I am going to stamp one on the inside corner of my card. And then I will also stamp one on my envelope. And I'm going to kind of stamp it there because I'm also going to stamp a tree. Kind of like low. Ooh, maybe it's just the tree. This is going to look more like a bush. So it's kind of just the tree and like it looks like you're looking up into the sky. Because it doesn't really look like a bush. It looks like a tree that I just cut off. But I still like it. It's okay. So we have this now. So now we're going to bring in our masks. The first mask is the one with the branches. And I actually have it backwards because there's like a Braille number 1 and the 1 is popped up to the front. You would notice because you'd be like, how come this doesn't line up correctly? And it would drive you absolutely nuts. So you would realize it right away. Secure that down. And now we're going to do our pecan pie. So I'm just tapping into the ink. And I would almost go light on this one because you already stamped in pecan pie. So you don't really want to go like super dark because otherwise your stamped image isn't going to show up as much. So there we have our trunk sort of colored in, if you will. And then we're going to do number 2. And that's this one here. You'll see there's a little number 2 in my notches over there. And then this is also going to cover up all of those like brown pieces that you already did. So there we go. And I'm going to do this one in pumpkin pie. So we're just going to tap, tap, tap in our pumpkin pie. And again, you can go as light or dark as you want with this. And it's okay if there's like a variation. Like mine like looks really dark, like right here. That's fine. Not all trees are like perfectly uniform in color, especially right now. I feel like whenever I'm talking about the trees with my kids, that I'm always saying like, look at that beautiful tree. It's got, you know, shades of orange and yellow and green and blue. And like, I feel like I'm saying like every single color because it's kind of true that like the tree has a lot of different colors going on in it. And then this one I'm going to do in Cajun Craze. And again, you can just kind of like lightly go over it, or you can really add a lot of that deep red orange. So there is our Cajun Craze. So now I wanted to finish it out a little bit more. And I'm going to show you how I used the top little bit of this to do all of our leaves on the bottom. And I'm just going to do a light one. I didn't actually do Cajun Craze with my other one, but I'm going to do a light little Cajun Craze. I'm not going back to the ink. I'm just finishing what was on my little sponge and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do a little bit of orange. And actually, you probably don't need to go back to the ink for this. Especially if you are doing multiples. Just be aware that like after a while of doing this, your little like blending brush is going to have more ink on it than it did whenever you first started. So like if you cleaned your brush and it was nice and clean when you started, then, you know, it's going to have some colors on it that you don't have to add more. And then we're just going to add some green too. Normally I kind of like to wash my mask in between, but I just realized I didn't do that. So it does kind of pull some dirtiness, I feel like, here and there. But again, if you see leaves on the ground, then they kind of look brown and dirty and random colors. So I feel like this one's definitely a lot lighter than this one. I didn't do like as much green and stuff like that, but I absolutely love it. I will also say that my glass mat is quite dirty, as you can see. So I'm just going to grab a baby wipe before I make any messes on my project and just wipe it off just like that. Now I have to kind of let it dry a little bit since the baby wipe was rather wet. Maybe I'll just use my shirt to speed up the process. There we go. Okay, and then, which I'm actually going to make a mess again because I'm going to take a little bit of balmy blue and just kind of round out the tree a little bit. Kind of hit those corners. And it just adds a little bit of like a scenery look. And so it looks a little bit more, you know, like nice and blue there. And I'm just going to simply take this. I'm not going back to the ink, and I'm going to do the corner of the inside of my envelope. And I'm also going to do the bottom corner in a little bit of green. The bottom. So I don't know how well you can see. See how there's that dirtiness, it looks like. But green down here and a little hint of blue up with that bird. And then again, like you can see all around there. And I should probably bring in this again just to make sure there's just ever so slightly a little bit of ink there. I'll bring in my shirt to dry off the baby wipe. And then, oh, we forgot our greeting. And you can do your greeting really in any color, but I'm going to go ahead and do mine in pecan pie. So this says, birthday wishes for a day as great as you are. Love that. I feel like this is a great masculine card too. And I really struggle with masculine cards. So we're going to layer this onto the Cajun Craze. And then we're going to add this to our card front with Stampin' Dimensionals. And I am at the end of my dimensionals, so I'm going to use that outer trim. Do you guys all use the outer trim of your dimensionals? I sure hope so, because no dimensional left behind. These pieces are just as good as a regular dimensional, so that means that your pack of 300 has even more than that because you have all of those trims. And they work really good for like long skinny greetings too. So now we're just going to add this to our card front. And there we have card number 3. So beautiful, perfect for fall. You could also do shades of green on this tree, which we are going to do another one with shades of green, or even maybe like some pinks or something whenever we get towards spring, which I'm counting down the days because I'm just not a fan of winter. But this is card number 3. And then I'll show you again card number 2. If you're watching along, definitely leave a comment. Let me know which one your favorite is. Whether it's your favorite so far, you don't have to wait till the end, or you can always update it with a new comment at the end whenever you might change your mind. And card number 1. And now we'll get ready for card number 4. So now we're on to card number 4, which is this beauty. Again, all shades of green on this fabulous card that we have here. And I love it as a great masculine birthday card. So let's get started. We have another thick basic white card base. So we're going to start by folding that in half. And then we'll add some of that plaid paper to the front. And this is from the Green and Gold suite. So you can see it's got the fabulous gold on the back, and it's so hard to cover up that stunning foil paper, but that's just what we have to do to have the stunning plaid on the front of our card. So we have our plaid card front, and then I have that strip of the solid green. And that just kind of goes down the center to give like a statement piece, sort of solid. So we'll add that down the center. And then technically we have this white piece. It's also flat. I know the tree and the greeting are popped up. I know you guys were thinking, where are her dimensionals? Because you guys know I'm a dimensional lover. And this, you could always do a regular rectangle, but I went ahead and used our deckled dies to get that fun detailed edge. So it gives it just a little extra fabulousness. And so we're going to go ahead and add that centered, making sure to press down on all those different layers of cardstock. So see how it just adds just that little texture. I think it makes it a little bit more rustic looking too than just a regular rectangle. And so it just adds that fabulous little extra touch. I also had extra pieces of the designer paper. And so as to not throw away those little scraps that just kill us to throw away anyway, then I am going to add those to the inside of the card. So a little one on the bottom and the other one on the top. And that just sort of coordinates with the front of the card and adds just a little extra something to the inside. For the greeting, I actually punched out with this fabulous label punch. Kind of looks like a ticket. And I punched out some pecan pie. And that is what we're going to stamp our birthday greeting on. And I just inked it up in pecan pie. So it's two-tone. So pumpkin pie onto pumpkin pie. Or I'm sorry, it's not pumpkin. It's pecan. I have all the pies on my mind right now as we are getting ready for Thanksgiving here in the United States. And so, yeah. What is your favorite pie? Do you like pumpkin pie? Do you like pecan pie? I do love pumpkin pie. And I always feel like I have to eat it, even though I really love apple pie too. But I feel like apple pie we have all throughout the year. And pumpkin pie we only have this time of year. So I feel like, you know, I have to eat it. But it's always such a struggle on Thanksgiving to decide what dessert I really want, which is why I usually sample a little bit of everything. So here I'm doing the trunk. We're not stamping this one. We're just doing the blending brushes. So I went a little darker with my trunk than I did in that last card because the last one, you know, we stamped it first and I didn't really want to like get rid of all of the pecan pie stamped image. But this one we're not stamping. We're just going to go ahead and use just the masks. And then we're going to use mask number 2. And we're doing Old Olive. That one is a little bendy. That sometimes happens a little bit. So I just kind of bent it back a little. And we're going to use Old Olive. Which this is the same one that I used in Mossy Meadow. And so I feel like it's coming out a little mossy. So it's a little bit of a different green, a little dark up top. Honestly, I think it looks amazing like that. But I am going to do the detailed, but I'm going to go pretty light on this detailed one just because I don't want my tree to be too dark. Again, you could use different ones, or I could have easily wiped this off with like a baby wipe between colors. But I also find that it's like, okay. You can also just like brush it onto a piece of scrap paper for a while until the color kind of like bleeds out. So now I'm going back to Mossy Meadow. This is also where I said, like, if you're making multiples, that after a while you kind of don't need to go back to the ink because the brush gets quite saturated with colors. So there you can see those like splotches of like darker bits on the tree. And now we are going to die cut this out. If I can find my die cut. This is what happens when you get a messy desk. Oh, I set it down next to my mini so that I would know where it was. And here I didn't know where it was. You know, it's kind of like where you put something in a safe place so you don't lose it. And then you lose it because you don't know where that safe place is. One of the other tricks that I have with dies is, I don't know what anybody does with these 1,000,001 little bitty Post-its that you get as like tchotchke gifts or in like a multi-pack and stuff. I don't know what people actually do with those. So I always use them to secure my dies on my stamped or masked image. And they usually like last for quite a few rounds through the die cutting. So they are fairly useful for that. There we have our tree. Like I said, the tree we're going to go ahead and use dimensionals and pop it up. I didn't actually pop up like the bottom. I really just popped up the top like branch area. And that's a lot of dimensional. I'm aware of that. But I know where I can buy more, and I love dimensionals. So I always feel like if I put one here, one needs to go there. If I put one there, one needs to go here. So then I end up with a ton. And then this is just going to go right on top of that white. And then we have our greeting. Oh, here it is. And this is going to go over that bottom. So we didn't really want to double dimensional it anyway. So this will work perfect. Well, maybe I do need, see, I need like a little over here, a little over there. And then I made sure to like cover up the trunk on the bottom just because I didn't want it peeking out and being like, what is that? So I went ahead and made sure to cover it all up. And then on the inside, you have that fabulousness. Although I don't have anything for this. Should I try like masking on our envelope? Just like a light one, just so that I'm not like going overboard. And I also don't want to get super in the way of where I might put my greeting. So like I'm not even going to go to the ink. But I think that is going to look amazing. Like, come on, if you saw that in the mailbox, or if you were getting your neighbor's mail and they got a card that had that on the envelope, would you not be like, they are one lucky person? How amazing is that? And then I also have little jewels to put on there. These are the faux glass dots that are in the holiday mini catalog. And I'm just going to add a few of these green ones. So I'm going to do one up there, maybe one there. And then one at the bottom down by the greeting. Super, super fabulous. Again, I love that with the envelope. Oh, Maybe I should like lightly brush each of the envelopes because that is amazing. Love, love, love it. This is card number 4. And then we have 1, 2, and 3. And let's get started with card number 5. Okay, so now we are going to do this 5th and final card. Again, I wish you could see the wink of Stella. Hopefully you can. That I just added like little wiggle lines almost, you know, like swoop, swoop along the trees just to add a little bit of shimmer so that it looked like snow sitting on top of the trees. And it's absolutely stunning. I love it. So this one's actually fairly simple when it comes to supplies. All I have is a piece of garden green, and that's my card base. And then I have 2 pieces of the basic white in 4 by 5 1/4, one for the front and one for the inside. So on the front, I'm just going to stamp that Merry Christmas, which I used from the Greetings of the Season stamp set. Love, love, love that one. And I'm stamping that in real red. So I did it like up in the corner in order to make room for all my trees. But now I can go ahead and add that to my card front because my trees are actually all die cut out. Now, technically you could stamp the one directly to it. So like this, you can see they're all die cut. You could technically stamp like this one since I did that one flat and then did these 2 on dimensionals. But I went ahead and did all of them. This way they're nice and like secure, and I also don't have to worry about making a mistake and then having that be like my main piece. So, and then we're just gonna do, it's the most wonderful time of the year on the inside. And if you're really ambitious, you could always add another tree to the inside piece if you wish. I think I might have on this one. Let's see. I did. But I did that one on the cardstock, so I didn't actually die cut that one. I just stamped it directly on there. But if you need more room, because that greeting does take up quite a bit, if you need more room to sign, then you can always just leave that tree off too. Okay, so there is our card. And then I'm going to bring in a piece of basic white, and I'm going to ink up 2 of the big trees. And you don't want them too close to the edge of your cardstock because you'll be die cutting them. So 2 big, and while we're doing it, we're gonna do, you know what? I'm gonna do the little one on the envelope as to not take up too much room. Okay, here it is. I want to say, where did my tree go? I remember getting it out. So here is my little tree, again, in the mossy meadow. So there I have my 3 trees, and I'm going to add him to the envelope. Super cute. I might add a bird too. So the bird I did in red. So we just add, sorry I didn't get that on camera. Just add the little bird, and we'll also stamp a few birds like on the in-between spots for whenever we die cut. And again, remember that there's 2 of the die cut birds, so you can die cut 2 at the same time. Again, great for like adding one to the inside, or just if you're making multiples, then you have 2 birds for every time that you run it through the die cutting. Okay. So remember how I said I really just like A and B. So we're going to start with A. And we are going to start with our garden green. So our garden green is going to be our base, and our mossy meadow will be like more of our detail. And I'm going to go fairly light just because mossy meadow is quite dark, and so I definitely don't want my tree to be super dark. And I feel like, you know, if I go light, then it might be a little dark. If I plan to go dark, it's going to go major dark. And then we have our little tree down here. And like I've said before, I am definitely like a press too hard, go too dark, think it needs a little bit more, oops, went too far sort of person. So if I plan to go light, then that'll be everybody else's normal dark. Okay, so now we're gonna line up this one. And since we're going to a darker one and this is our last card, I'm just gonna go ahead and go directly into that mossy meadow. And again, I'm attempting to go light. So there is that one. And here, I'll show you 1 and 2. So this one is just the letter A, and then this one is A and B. So now we're gonna do our second big tree. Do you guys get a real tree for Christmas, or do you have an artificial tree? Okay, I'm definitely going, if I went to the ink 3 times, that means I went really dark. And you can tell that one is a much darker tree. But again, since this is 3 trees in one, then I feel like the variation in the 3 trees will be perfect because it's a forest. You know, every tree is not going to be the same. So, you know, one's going to look a little lighter, one's going to look a little darker, and that will be perfect. And there's my little one. The little one I feel like is more like the Christmas tree that you want to cut down. The other 2 look more like big trees that you would say they're too far gone and don't fit in my house. But he looks like the perfect Christmas tree. He's nice and like full and even and stuff like that. So that's just my preference. As a kid growing up, we always did, and my parents still do, a real tree. And we did a real tree many years, Brad and I. And then one year we actually went like 2 days later than we normally do. It was still like the first week of December, and they didn't have like any of the like baseline trees. Cause like, I don't know, I really don't want to pay $50 to $100 for a Christmas tree that's just going to be, you know, decorating in my living room and then thrown in the trash. Like, that's not what I want to spend my money on at Christmas time. So, you know, we usually would get like the $20 to $30 range one, and they were like all sold out. And that was the year that we looked into getting a fake one. And and we were able to get a fake one for like that same price. We found one on sale. It was like $40 or something. And we were like, wait a minute, we can get this fake one for $40 and use it year over year. We're totally saving money. Let's try this out. So we did that, and we've never looked back. It has just been amazing. Like, we don't have to worry about, you know, oh, it's raining, so we have to like go to the lot and get one and then put it in the back of our vehicle, which Brad used to have a truck. We actually don't even have a truck now. So, whenever Alex was born, then Brad ended up getting like a SUV. So, I don't know where we would put it in that case. And so we would have to worry about like drying it out. It also used to fall over all the time. The one year I was like, if it falls over one more time, I'm taking it down, and I don't care if Christmas isn't even here yet. But I was so tired of picking it back up and putting the ornaments back on, which always happened as a kid too. Our tree always fell over as a kid. My parents actually like wire it to the wall now because they got tired of doing that as well. I don't blame them. So yeah, we don't do that anymore. And I also love that, like, we also had one year where bugs started coming out of it. I was like, why are there like a bug on the wall and another bug on the wall? And then the next morning I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? And realized the bugs were coming out of the tree. So, that was another kind of final straw with getting a real tree. And And yeah, I like that we can leave it up. I like that we can put it up whenever we want and we don't have to water it and, you know, all of those things. So, yeah, I've crossed over. I'm into the artificial tree girl. Okay, so now I added that first tree just flat, just regular, and then I'm going to add the other two trees with Stampin' Dimensionals. And since they're kind of like big pieces, I'm using those border trim pieces to be able to maximize my space. So the thing about the Merry Christmas is you have to be careful not to go like too high, too low with that greeting, or otherwise your little baby tree won't fit down there at the bottom and you'll have to squish all of your trees to the other side. So that is the little tip on that. And I just kind of staggered them. That way they kind of looked a little bit more foresty. And then your birds you can put on either with a mini dimensional, or you can put it on flat. That is personal preference. I did also use my Wink of Stella to bleed out the red. Now, this bird I actually stamped like a long time ago. This Wink of Stella pen is very glittery. So my bird is very glittery. I don't know that I want to use that on my trees. I'm a little nervous. So I'm going to use this one. But I literally just like swooped, almost like garland, just like whoop, 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 and swooped. This one almost seems like it's out. Let's try this one. Again, I feel like you guys can't see it on camera, which makes me super sad because it's gorgeous. But I just kind of swooped like with the tree branches as if like snow was kind of like laying on top. My poor bird is just shining brightly. Okay. But at least it's even. The bird is all glittery. See, look at it shine. Oh, I love it. But there is our fifth and final card from the Frosted Forest online stamp class here in November. So let me pull back in all those green ink pads that we used today. So there's that one. I'll bring in all 5 of them. Like I said, let me know in the comments below which one your favorite one is. I'm going to have to boot those off the front. Which one your favorite one is, and if you have ever tried out the masks and blending brushes. Of course, you could always use a sponge dauber or a sponge or lots of other different things to be able to use with those masks. Super fun. I find them to be very easy to be able to use and like less splotchy than using blending brushes just regularly. So they make me feel a little bit more confident with those masks. Again, this is the Frosted Forest stamp set. I'll leave a link down below with the stamp set, the dies, and the masks so that you can recreate these 5 cards. Of course, don't forget to check out my Etsy shop where you can see the PDF tutorial with all the instructions, color photos, and dimensions so you can create these cards much easier. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you did. Comment below and let me know if you get a real tree or a fake tree for the holiday season. And I will see you next time. Happy stamping. Bye-bye.